It's looking like the next big 40k narrative is slowly approaching. In next month's White Dwarf, a new war begins. And for me, this is going to feature Vashtorr, and I personally think it's going to trickle into the rumoured Agents of the Imperium Codex. I'm sure there's going to be more characters getting involved, like Primarchs, the Necron races, the Mechanicus, Belisarius Call, everyone like that. So let's jump in, let's have a little waffle, and let's have a little talk about all this brand new narrative lore. Now, for those of you who are going to be asking what the hell I'm on about the next coming war, look at the image in the background right now. This is from this month's White Dwarf, March's White Dwarf, and it states the tech war begins in the next issue. So for April's edition of White Dwarf, we're going to get something called the Tech War. Now, they've been building this up now for the past few editions in the White Dwarf magazine. What it is, since Vashtorr has come back and Vashtorr's been doing what he's been doing in the current narrative, the machines have been malfunctioning, coming to life, trying to kill like anyone who's around them and stuff like that. Absolute techno heresy has been happening within the Imperium. Now, since this has been happening, the Inquisition has turned their gaze upon Vashtorr, and Inquisitor Lord Codex has activated all his agents, and he's actively seeking where Vashtorr is right now in real space. And we actually know where he is in real space. He's currently in the Pariah Nexus, where the Silent King is, where Imhotep the Stormlord is, where Belisarius Call is, where Guilliman apparently is going to, and I theorize where the Lion is going to end up as well. And this is where we could get that so-called meeting between Guilliman and the Lion. But for now, let's just go back to the Inquisition, because this is one of the big talking points now, and this has been teased in the White Dwarf magazine itself. As I stated, the Inquisition is now looking at Vashtorr and all this techno heresy that's going on. It is really affecting the Imperium. There's been talks of like other demonic Primarchs potentially coming back, like Perturabo working with Vashtorr, which opens so many other doors and so many more theories and lanes to go down for more traitor Primarchs returning and stuff like that. So the Inquisition needs to find where Vashtorr is and put a stop to this madness. And this is where I think now the Agents of the Imperium Codex is going to roll in that summer redacted Codex window. The rumors have been stating this for a while now, that we're going to get multiple Inquisition boxes dedicated to the Ordos, the Xenos, the Malleus, and the Hereticus Ordos and stuff like that. I'm hearing like new Inquisitor models are coming. Inquisitor Lord Cotias is probably one of those big models that is going to be getting a refresh during this range. And the narrative itself, as I've stated now, as we're about to see in the White Dwarf magazine, is going to focus on this techno heresy, the techno war that Vashtorr has unleashed on the galaxy. Don't forget, Vashtorr is actively seeking a weapon. We don't know what this weapon is. He has the key now. He's trying to find the lock. Once he gets it, apparently this can change the war in favor of chaos, and he wants to give this weapon to Abaddon for aiding him get all the stuff that he's already got right now when he attacked the Dark Angels, etc, etc, etc. So I personally think where they are now in the Pariah Nexus, maybe this is the location of that said lock, and Vashtorr is the key now to unlock it. And what we could get at the end of the Pariah Nexus, because we haven't got there yet, is maybe Vashtorr actually is the victor. We're all looking at Imhotep the Stormlord, the Silent King, you know, Belisarius Call, Guilliman and stuff like that. But what if it's Vashtorr that comes away the victor and gets this brand new weapon that turns the war in favor of the Chaos forces? And don't forget that rumor from way back I mentioned about Vashtorr getting more models for his little mini faction. When I say mini faction, I'm sure Vashtorr can use them and Chaos can use them and stuff like that, but they're more or less going to be designed in favor of Vashtorr and the way he looks with all his techno heresy. We've seen it in the lore itself when Forge Worlds were being corrupted, and you got these like massive techno spiders that were ripping the worlds apart, everything like that, and the Inquisition had to go down, Space Marine chapters had to go down and purge it all. This techno war, I personally think now, is going to be the next big focus on the Warhammer 40,000 narrative. I am really interested to see where this goes. Hopefully GW don't fluff it. I am hopeful that this story storyline, brings a lot of characters and crosses their narrative paths. As I've mentioned before, Abaddon is with Vashtorr. You've got the Lion and his sons who want revenge on Vashtorr because what they did to them during everything when the Lion returned and Caliban being cloned and the Rock being invaded and kind of half destroyed and stuff like that. You're probably going to have Guilliman seeking revenge on Vashtorr because he's bringing ruin to the Imperium. These are the narrative streams that can cross. We can have the Lion, Abaddon, Guilliman, all bloody meeting. This is the stuff that I live for Warhammer 40,000 as an Imperial fanboy. And of course, right, it's got to be more stuff with the Xenos, like as I mentioned, the Necrons. I'm sure the Eldar are going to get involved and stuff like that. There's a bunch of Techno Heresy. Some other races are probably going to jump in and get involved, the Tau and stuff like that for the greater good, the Fifth Sphere expansion, everything that is going on in the galaxy right now. I think this really is building up to this next big narrative bloody event, and I cannot wait for it. But we all have to wait till next month, of course, in April. This is when it's all bloody happening. Anyway, Chaperoonios, that's enough waffling from me. As always, I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on everything that we've discussed. Do you think the next big narrative is going to be this techno war, or it's just going to be a non-engagement when it's all just, you know, becomes nothing and Vashtorr gets away and does whatever and the characters go their own separate way? One thing I will add is that we've seen this before in the White Dwarf magazine, and it did pay off in a brand new model reveal, and that was a Silent King. They mentioned the Silent King and the whole Necron stuff that was going on during, was it 8th edition or to the back end of 8th to the start of 9th edition? I'm not too sure when it was. It was when right before the Silent King was released, and boom, we got the Silent King and all the Necrons and all that stuff came out. So I personally believe this is now building up to that hype of that Agents of the Imperium Codex. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a tease of it during next week's Adepticon reveals. I personally don't think so because they've got a lot to show off with Chaos, and also AOS 4th edition is probably going to take the main stage on that front. But who knows? Anything can happen, so stay tuned, and hopefully we'll get some pretty big reveals happening next week. Enough waffling. Thanks for coming. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you're having a good day, evening, night, wherever you are in the world. Have a good one, and bye-bye.